Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, AM 1460, online worldwide at WRUL.com, or if you're going back and listening on demand on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. Cole Carter alongside Chris Myers, Scott Mayer across the hallway getting us on the air this morning. As first, before we start, want to extend a good luck to head coach Mike Zerani and the CWC junior high softball team. They are playing in the state tournament today at 1 o'clock. They're going to take on Marion in the first round there, so best of luck to Coach Z and the Lady Bullpups, and also best of luck to Coach Scott Howard and the Junior Pro Bulldogs. They are playing for the Black Diamond Conference Championship at 4 o'clock today at Cesar against Flora, so best of luck to both of those teams as they're trying to get some big postseason wins later on today. Well, it was a big win last night for the Carmine White County Bulldogs, 72-27 over the CZR Bearcats. And Chris, defense was optional last night.
Yeah, it was basically like playing a video game, more or less. It was just both offenses just honestly having their way. Even though Christopher just finished with 27 points, you think only 27 points. They really especially that first half did a great job executing their spread offense. But for the Bulldogs, every possession a touchdown. And the first possession of the game was one play. Noah Pollard ISO gone. So 9 touchdowns, 9 conversions, 72 points. It was, if you're grading it on a scale, it's basically 100% A+ for the Bulldogs on offense last night.
Well, the defense struggled. And I think it's the one thing that if you ask anybody on the coaching staff or any of the players, they'll tell you defense struggled. And we've seen time and time again the Bulldogs, when they play teams that throw the ball a lot, they do struggle. And there's a lot of reasons for that, mainly just because you don't see that a whole lot in the Black Diamond. And really, besides CZR, Fairfield does throw a little bit, Flora throws a lot, but you don't see a lot of passing teams like that. It's hard to replicate, it's hard to practice, it's just hard to prepare for at the high school level.
It really is, because it becomes what you call assignment football. Your secondary has to constantly know where they're at against different formations, different routes. You have to be bumping from man-to-man to zone. It's a mental game when you play a spread team. Linebackers, same thing. Okay, are we going to be blitzing here? Are we dropping back in coverage? What do we do? Defensive linemen, your challenge is kind of similar, but it's a little different. You've got to rush the quarterback, but yet you may be asked to contain him. As we found out last night, the young man for Christopher, their quarterback, he could run a little bit. So, you had to rush him, but at the same time, Sveda, you also had to think about containing him. So that's the challenge when you're playing a spread team, is you have to know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. The secondary has a constant challenge, because you got to be knowing, okay, am I just playing deep coverage? Am I giving him a cushion? Do I need to come up and press? All right, what do we do if he breaks off on this route? Do I stay with him? There's just a lot to think about. Whereas opposed, if you're playing a running team, we just got to come up and play physical, shed blocks, and tackle. But, you're exactly right, Cole. There's just a lot more mental preparation when you're playing a team that just runs a constant, consistent spread offense.
So a lot of scoring from last night. Buckle up, because we're going to go through all of them real quick. CZR started things off. They went down the opening drive and scored an 18-yard touchdown pass from Landon Sveda to Gage Schlakey. So they jumped out to a 7-0 lead at the 7:39 mark there in the first quarter. But one play later, Noah Pollard took it 62 yards. Kate Stockton ran the 2-point play. Bulldogs led 8-7. Carmine defense forced a 3-and-out, and then you're thinking, okay, we've got it figured out, got our feet beneath us, and now it's time to put the pedal down. They drove down and scored a long run from Cale Wiggins, got him inside the 10. Stockton runs it in from 6 yards out. Pollard the 2-point play, and the Bulldogs led 16-7. But then CZR, 20 seconds later, a 65-yard pass from Sveda to Schlakey, and that made it a 16-14 game. Then they recover an onside kick, the ensuing kickoff, and then they score on a screen pass to Trip Fletcher 27 yards out at the 2:45 mark in the first quarter. And all of a sudden, CZR back in front there, 21-16. Chris, the fact that this team is now 0-6, and like I said, despite the struggles against the passing game, this CZR team has got some outstanding athletes. And what's crazy is if you look at what they do in the spring in track, they're always at the BDC meets. They are always there at the front. They've always got some outstanding conference athletes. But we saw some great athletes last night from the Bearcats.
Absolutely, and we were looking at the roster, and the scary thing is they're all underclassmen. I say underclassmen, most of them are juniors. There may be a sophomore sprinkled in there. So yeah, offensively, I was just very impressed with this team. They run that spread. They run it very well. As we said, their quarterback, I mean, he does a great job. He was just not only in the pocket, but Sveda, when he got out of the pocket, it's what he could do with the football, how he could just look downfield, find an open receiver, wing it, sometimes even across the field and hit someone open. Just a lot of things he did were very impressive. And that was definitely a case of the record didn't mean a whole lot. It's just, you look at Christopher offensively, I mean, there is in some ways as dynamic as anybody. Mm-hmm. It's just on the flip side, their defense just doesn't bring the same wallop that their offense brings. But it was definitely they hit the Bulldogs in the mouth there in the first half.
So CZR had the lead 21-16 with 2:45 left to go in the longest first quarter of all time. That'd be the last time they had the lead. Bulldogs scored on a 27-yard run by Cade Stockton with 1:13 left in the first quarter. The Bulldogs would score two more times in the first half. Pollard from 38 yards out, and then Pollard again from 3 yards out there to end the first half. The Bulldogs led 40-21 at the break. Then there in the third quarter, the Bearcats again recovered an onside kick. They marched down and scored on a 39-yard touchdown pass from Sveda to Landon Butler. And then Carmi put the finishing touches on the win. A 59-yard run by Pollard, a 69-yard run by Cale Wiggins. Pollard again from 20 yards out. And then Cooper Hill, the freshman, a 52-yard run on the sweep play to put the cherry on top of a 72-27 win for the Bulldogs. Stats from the game last night, the Bulldogs 503 rushing yards. They did turn the ball over one time, or one turnover aside. But time of possession is what really, I don't think that one. Carmi didn't turn the ball over. I think that's a typo there.
Yeah.
Carmi, that's vice versa. They've got that on the Carmi side. Christopher did fumble once. Time of possession, Bulldogs scored 72 points and only had the ball for 11 and a half minutes. That is
wow.
That's hilarious. Honestly.
It's like a touchdown a minute.
Christopher had the ball for 36 and a half minutes. The Bulldogs just 11 minutes and 24 seconds, and they scored 72 points. Individual stats for the Bearcats, their quarterback, Landon Sveda, 18 of 31 with 1 interception but 4 touchdown passes on 279 passing yards. Trip Fletcher, their running back, had 23 carries for 79 yards. For the Bulldogs, Noah Pollard, 14 carries, 258 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Cale Wiggins, 4 carries for 127 yards and a score. Cade Stockton, 7 carries for 65 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cooper Hill had 1 carry, 52 yards, and a touchdown for the Bulldogs. So many records were either tied or broke last night. And, of course, thanks to our good buddy Toby Brown sending us these records from last night. So in the win last night for the Bulldogs, Noah Pollard tied 11 others for the most touchdowns in the game with 5, but he became the first Bulldog to ever score 5 touchdowns in a game twice. He scored 5 at Hamilton County in Week 2 this season. Pollard also tied 7 others for the most rushing touchdowns in a game with 5. The 72 points that Carmi scored is tied for the third most ever. Carmi scored 72 at Red Hill back in 1981, and then they scored 87 at Flora in 1921. They also scored 73 against Cairo in 2004. The 99 combined points between these two teams is a record for the most combined points in a game. So that's first place now. The previous record was when Alney shut out Carmi 94-0 in 1915. So
poor 1915 squad.
At least get that record out of the window. Yeah. And Carmi, I mentioned they rushed for 503 yards. That was just 2 yards shy of the all-time record for the most rushing yards in a game for the Bulldogs. They rushed for 505 against Red Hill in 1982. Did some math on Noah Pollard and where he stands and as far as his rushing career, and for the season, he surpassed the 1,000 career mark on this season, and we still have 3 more games to go. But for his career, he is sitting at 2,254 yards. That puts him 4th all time, and he is 59 yards away from surpassing Brandon Pringle for 3rd all time. I don't think he's going to touch the top 2. I'm not sure if anybody will ever touch the top 2 with King and Rodgers there at 1 and 2. But man, Noah Pollard, for really only having 2 full years as the starter, to get to that 3rd all time spot's pretty impressive.
It is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we have just been, these last few seasons as Bulldog fans, just been spoiled by the talent that's been in the Bulldog backfield. Isaac King, 2-time All-Stater, we knew what he did. And Noah would be the first to tell you he had some good mentors, Isaac being one of those. He had some guys to learn from. But as I've said all season long, Isaac's success was because of his work ethic. He was one of those young men that was in the weight room at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, lifting weights, when doing things that you have to do when no one's watching, that a lot of other people don't want to do. And that's why he was successful. He made himself that way. And Noah's a similar kid. Noah, when he was younger, a kid always had some speed, but the way he's dedicated himself to the weight room, he had that same mentality. And I think he learned that from Isaac, is you dedicating yourself to getting in the weight room, lifting weights, running sprints, doing the things you got to do, even when you don't feel like doing them. There's not every day you feel like getting up at the crack of dawn and going pounding out squats and deadlifts in the weight room, but that's what makes you better. And Noah's been a kid who's dedicated himself to that, and his hard work has paid off on the gridiron this fall. These last couple seasons, really.
You look at Noah and Cade Stockton as well.
Yeah,
2 guys that when they were sophomores, they're little skinny kids. But you look at them now, and they both have put on. I think Cade's dad told me that Cade's put on almost 30 pounds of muscle between the last 2 seasons. I mean, usually your linemen are in the weight room getting stronger, but man, this backfield for the Bulldogs, and again, last couple of years, it's been like that. Working hard in the weight room and getting bigger.
And that's the key. You're right. Stockton, the other young man, I think you're right. He played at 160 last year, and talking to his dad, and he just said, if you want to play the position you want, fullback, you need to put on some weight, and he did just that. Him and Pollard and really, that's just to be successful in any sport, you have to dedicate yourself to it in the off season when no one's watching, but especially football. The weight room is just. It's critical. Football it comes down to it. It's a bigger, faster, stronger sport. And the way you have to do it, you have to dedicate yourself in the weight room.
So looking at some other scores last night is, again, the Bulldogs defeat CZR 72-27. They improved to 5-1 on the year. They are playoff eligible, but will need to win one more to clinch a playoff spot. Other scores in the BDC, Cesar-Valliere defeats Edwards County 38-0. They're 6-0. They clinch a playoff spot, as is Johnson City. They defeated Hamilton County 46-16. El Dorado had their bye week this week, and Flora will play at Fairfield today at 1 o'clock. In the River to River, it was Nashville defeating Benton 27-10. Pinckneyville over Anna Jonesboro 27-14. DuQuoin over West Frankfort 39-18. Carterville over Harrisburg 28-7. And Heron shuts out Massac County 28-0. In the Cahokia Conference, Chester shuts out Carlisle 41-0. The Yellow Jackets, former BDC squad, they are 6-0 as they clinch a playoff spot. Red Bud over Dupo 21-20. Westland over Sparta 34-6. It was Bree Central over Salem 49-6. In the Little Illini Conference, Casey Westfield shuts out Marshall 42-0. Newton over Paris 20-14. Olney defeats Mount Carmel 33-6. Tigers are 6-0. They clinch a playoff spot. It is also the first time Olney has defeated Mount Carmel since 1982. Olney went 0-9 last year, and they have turned things around big time here in 2024. Robinson plays at Lawrenceville today at 2 o'clock. And in non-conference, it was Red Hill losing to Bloomfield Eastern Green in Indiana 28-12. Breeze Mater Dei will play at Alton Marquette today at 1, and Murfreesboro is at Madison today at 2 o'clock. So all the high school football scores from Week 6 here in 2024. We'll take our first break of the morning. When we come back, we're going to chat with our special guest right here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROI, and AM 1460. Welcome back to the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROI, AM 1460, and online worldwide at WRUL.com. Cole Carter alongside Chris Myers, Scott Maring across the hallway getting us on the air, being joined by our special guest today, the Carmi-White County boys and girls golf coach, Trey Mason, a.k.a. Dr. Trey. Coach, thanks for swinging by this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, you've had quite the busy week, to say the least, and quite the exciting week. Congratulations, as both the boys and the girls qualified for sectionals. First time since 2011, I believe, that they both have been able to do that. But, man, what a week you guys have had this week.
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind, and both teams we kind of knew going in that we could possibly be that third team out, and we kind of had to play good on the girls' side. It was kind of weird how it all happened. It was almost like nobody wanted to be that third team, and I wouldn't say it fell in our lap, but it happened in a good way. And on the boys' side, they kind of just held on to that 3 spot the whole way and never looked back. So really great, just a great thing for both teams.
Well, you've been led by your seniors for both the boys and the girls this year, and some pretty impressive scores by a few of them. Just kind of flipping a coin for who gets to medal one day or the other. Just they've had an impressive season, but your seniors have led the way. Yeah,
they really have. And then, especially on the girls' side, I have 5 seniors, and what's funny about them, I told this on senior night, the Harrisburg coach, he came up to Maeve Atterbury and he said, Maeve, are you a senior this year? And she said, yes. And he said, I feel like you've been on this golf team for 10 years. And that really is true. I feel like I kind of just threw all 5 of those seniors into the mix when they were young, and I forced them to play tough courses, and they've been with me for a while now. And so they're going to be a big loss next year, but they've led the way. And then on the boys' side, Aiden Willis, that's another great story, because he didn't play his freshman year. Sophomore year, couple matches, somebody gets sick. I take him to West Frankfort, one of our hard courses, and he shoots 52, which is, it's not terrible, but it's not great. And then he comes back the next year and just completely works his tail off in the summer. Comes back the next year and he's shooting in the 30s. I mean, that's really just. It's really unbelievable, to be honest. So those seniors, they've meant a lot to our team.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we were just talking about here on the football side how, the work you have to put in and weight room and things like that. But you just mentioned it, a lot of your seniors, you've got a lot of kids that I take it that you hit the nail on the head are probably putting a lot of that extra time in over the summer and really dedicated themselves. Can you talk about how that work ethic has paid off for your team this year, what these kids have done?
Yeah, and golf is just so different. A lot of people think you get better by just going out there and playing 9 holes, and Aiden Willis and then even Maxon O'Daniel and these other guys are prime examples that you have to go out and just hit buckets of balls at 100-yard shots, and then you have to hit 100 chip shots. And so you have to almost every shot you have in your bag, you have to hit 200 or 300 of those over time to use that shot maybe twice in a round. So that's really where golf is different, that you really just have to hone in on almost every club and every shot, and that's what it takes. You just can't go play 9 holes. You got to do drills and put in the work. So
yeah.
And talking about some of your youngsters on the boys' side, I know that your girls' team, at least your top, are pretty much full of seniors. But, man, the boys' side, you mentioned Aiden's the only senior, but you mentioned Maxon, guys like Caden Holloman, Jax Jordan, Gabe Winkleman have really stepped up this season as well.
Yeah, Caden Holloman, he's the youngest on the team, and he really has thrown in some incredible scores, shoots 33 at Fairfield. He's not super long off the tee. He's really consistent. He's a workhorse. He just kind of goes to work. And proof was at the regional. They started us probably on one of the toughest holes, and I watched him tee off, and he had a great tee shot. And I kind of kind of left him alone because I thought, well, he's good. Well, then I didn't notice he went up there and he chunked 2 in the water and takes a 10. And not too many people really hardly anyone can recover from a 10. But he went on and put a string of pars together, and then ended up on the day, still being that 4th score for us, and that's what we needed. And so those younger guys they're hungry for it. They love playing. We'll play a match, and then they'll hang around the golf course, and then they'll go play some more. So that's really just what it takes, having that hunger and just that want to play the game.
And from what I understand, Coach, these regionals, for the girls, it was at Mount Carmel. All you got to do is Mount Carmel. It's pretty simple. You're going to face a really good team,
right,
no matter what, at Mount Carmel. So for them to get third with the Lady Aces, who are just an absolute juggernaut from what we understand in that
right,
regional. And then I understand the boys that Effingham regional was
right,
extremely loaded too. So
right,
can you just talk about how proud of you are, the kids, just for, because it may be a case of regionals sometimes in some ways are harder than the next round.
Right, yeah. And it is, we really have gotten to the point, especially in golf, where, and this is not anything negative by any means, but there are so many Catholic schools, and they can bring kids in. Effingham St. Anthony's coach told me that this year he almost had a kid come in from Louisiana, which was like top in the nation. So that's the caliber that we're going against. So to sneak out of these regionals, like it's a tremendous big deal. Effingham St. Anthony on the boys' side, they won state last year and the year before, and I wouldn't say they're a lock because golf is funny, but they certainly are. They're probably in the driver's seat right now. And then definitely on the girls' side, we had to play Mount Carmel girls Monday night. It was our last regular season match, and then we turn around and go to Mount Carmel on Tuesday, and their number one golfer shoots 2 under, and she's mad because she took a par on the last hole. And they are in a league of their own, and it is just, it's like if we lined up our football team and played the 49ers. That's almost what it is. That is going to just totally mess with your mind, and golf is so mental anyway that, yeah, it's a big deal to get out on third at the regional and go to sectional. So
we've talked to you a couple times about some of the courses that you guys play, especially come postseason time with the regional and the sectional, and some of those courses you guys might not see during the regular season. So how tough is it for those kids to kind of adjust when you show up to a regional? And I know sometimes you might go on the weekend and try to give them a practice round, but to adjust in a short period of time on a difficult course.
Yeah, and it is. Our courses around here, our 9-hole courses, sometimes don't really compare to some of the regional courses. Mount Carmel's the exception. It sets up similar to our course, but it is 18. But then the boys going to Effingham Country Club, that course it's a beautiful course. It's manicured perfectly. The greens are perfect, and so that course is certainly a game changer, and it's intimidating too. It has a lot of hard holes. So for the boys to play there, and they got excited about the course. I think they really liked the course, and I think that helped. Then on the girls' side, we're going to go back to that same course on Monday, and it's on the girls' side, it's going to be tough. There's a lot of shots over water. It's a lot longer than what we're used to. So for the girls, it does set up for a true sectional golf course, and it's going to be tough. Then on the boys' side, we'll go to Franklin County Country Club, and back in the day, that was the course. Everybody just wanted to play on that course. So it's a legit course too, and so both those I feel like are going to set up well for sectional golf courses.
In the postseason, I may have asked this before, just for refreshing my memory, are any of the rules different in postseason play? Are the holes monitored more by officials, or how does that change?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably one of the biggest changes for sectional, they'll move the tees back because they want it to play a few more yards than what a regional does, and that does make you up your game, and that changes some shots that you'll hit. Instead of maybe being 100 out from a green, you might be 150 out, and so that really changes things. it really works well for the heavy hitters as far as the long guys that can really crush the ball. And they'll put the pins a little bit tougher too, and so you'll have more break in the green, and they take it up a notch, and so you kind of have to be ready for that.
So looking at the sectional on Monday, the girls, they're heading to Effingham, boys going to West Frankfort, as you mentioned. Kind of looking at the teams on the bracket there. What are some teams you guys are looking at to see if the boys and girls can sneak into one of those top 3 spots?
Yeah, I mean and we are looking to sneak into that, probably that 3rd spot. I know that nothing's set in stone, but Effingham, St. Anthony, early in the season, they just about beat Benton, which Benton is a powerhouse in golf. They just about beat them. And then Breeze Mater Dei is there. They did beat Benton just a few weeks ago. And really Effingham and Breeze Mater Dei, they will flat go at it. They are just they're just in another league. So on the boys' side, we do have a chance to be that 3rd team out. That's a course that we're really familiar with. Teotopolis is certainly, they're going to be up there. And then I really have to think that it's going to be Carmi. So I do think we'll battle for that 3rd spot. On the girls' side, I wouldn't say Mount Carmel's a lock, but I would almost say Mount Carmel's a lock because they're just incredible, and not to put our girls down, but if you ever get the chance to watch these girls, they're tiny girls and they feel like they could maybe outdrive me, and so they're going to take it. But then Effingham, St. Anthony on the girls' side, they're tough too, and then Effingham High School, we will be paired with them. They're a good course. That's their home course, or they're a good team, and that's their home course. 3rd at the girls probably is really open as far as anybody. We're paired with girls that came from regions that are real similar to us, so I think we should feel comfortable playing. And as far as the boys too, we're paired with some teams that we've seen, and we have similar abilities. So I think we should feel comfortable in our spot so we can play our game, and hopefully that'll work to our advantage.
Coach, if we have time, do you want to just give us the names of all the kids on both rosters, just to give them all a shout out?
Yeah, we had a pretty full boys roster. We had a lot of kids come out, and I'll start with the freshmen with Kyson Clark, Cade Scow, and Banks Moore. Banks Moore really kind of battled, and I was beginning to think there for a while he might steal that 6th spot. He's going to be a good golfer. And then as far as the sophomores, we got Reese Whitley, Caden Holloman, Miles Barnett. Those guys have really, with Miles Barnett and Reese Whitley, I think they're going to be there next year. We're only losing one senior, so it's going to be tough. But those guys could possibly be there. And then the juniors, we got Cooper French, Garrett Catlin, Jax Jordan, Abe Girton, Gabe Winkleman, Jordan Tomasetti, and Maxon O'Daniel. So we're junior heavy, and then our lone senior, Aiden Willis. And then on the girls' side, like I said, we've got 5 seniors with Ava Sheaver, Courtney Snow, Mae Atterbury, Kinley Carter, and Sadie Balding. And then I've got 4 sophomores, Caitlin Davis, Eva Grogan, Sophia McCulley, and Emma Legg. So not shy on numbers for a golf team. That's a pretty big group.
Well, hearing some of those names, you got some good golfers, but you got some goofballs also on there, especially on the boys' side. And I know that in years past, you like to have fun with the kids, but just how fun is it to be to coach these kids and at the same time help them with their golf skills, but just have fun with them at the same time.
Yeah, they are they're a fun group. I told this story at senior night. It's worth telling again, and I won't mention any names over the radio, but the boys they kind of troll the girls during the matches. If you haven't been to a golf match in a while with technology, they actually keep score on their phone. We use a standard scorecard paper as a backup, but everything is on the app. You score the whole match on the app. Well, then that lets you see everybody's score. And we did have one of the girls golfer, one of the boys looked, and he screenshot it, and he said, "Hey, look, so-and-so got a hole-in-one." And it did. On the app, it had her for a 1. And so then they all get in, and so she learns that they're kind of maybe making fun of her a little bit, and so she kind of goes after them, and everything was lighthearted. They all get along, but she said I didn't get a hole in one. She forgot to put the 0. So she had gotten a 10. So they're constantly just kind of jarring at each other, and they keep it interesting for sure.
Well, if it makes that young lady feel any better, a 10 would be great for me on a par 4.
Yeah.
I would be happy with a 10.
You know,
so, yeah.
10 sometimes are not bad.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Trey, you know, as most folks know, you do a lot more than just coaching golf. You also coach track in the spring. On top of that, you're the junior high athletic director, the PA voice of the Bulldogs in both football and basketball. You wear a lot of hats, and I know that can be a lot to do at one time.
yeah, you know, and it's probably best. My wife says that I'm not a good bored person when it comes to the summer, so I think it's important to stay busy. And it's funny hearing you guys talk about some of the football players from last night, and then talking about track. You know, brings up a lot of memories. I do remember Noah Pollard as a track athlete, and actually I had him. He was running distance because he really did not have a whole lot of speed, and so if you would have told me back then what he would do this year, I would be like, you're lying. But he really, I mean, and you nailed it. He really just worked hard in the weight room, put in the work, and he is proof that, you know, you can improve your speed. And there's so many stories like that, and we have been really pretty blessed right now just to have so many sports teams, even going back to last spring. I mean, the boys junior high team, we won the regional, and the high school team wins the BDC. And so we've had a good string of, you know, girls softball junior high. And so we have been lucky to have some good athletes. And, you know, it's fun to be a part of all that. And it's, you know, I've been lucky to announce some, and I do, as far as one of my track guys last year, Branson Burnett, I have to give him a shout out, because as the PA at the Bulldog or at the football games, I do try to say kids' names, because you can tell parents want to hear that, and it makes them proud. And so that freshman group gets in there, and Cooper Hill, who broke several records for us last year on the track team, just blows the doors off everybody and scores a touchdown. And so I definitely got his name in there. And then I see Branson after the game, and he's like, "Hey, you didn't announce my name for that 2-point conversion." And I was like, oh, man. So shout out to Branson. He's going to be a great football player, as well as that whole freshman football team. They're going to be great. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a front row seat to a lot of it, so I'm pretty blessed.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by this morning, and best of luck to both the boys and the girls on Monday, and we're hoping that we hear some fire trucks come through town Monday evening.
All right, I appreciate it.
We'll step
Thanks,
aside for a short break here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, and AM 1460. All right, welcome back to the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, and AM 1460. Big thanks to Trey Mason swinging by to chat with us this morning about the boys and girls golf teams, and best of luck to them as they head to the IHSA sectionals on Monday. Girls will be at Effingham, and boys will be at West Frankfort. Hoping we can have some individuals, or hopefully both teams, qualify for the state tournament in Bloomington here in a couple of weeks. So taking a look back at what happened this past week in CWC athletics, back on Monday, the Bulldog football team, their game from the previous Friday was postponed to Monday. They defeated Fairfield 36-20. Boys golf defeated Mount Carmel by 4 strokes, 149-153. Girls fell to that, of course, multi-time state championship girls golf team. But also back on Monday, the junior high softball team, they defeated Flora to win the regional championship 14-8. Junior high baseball fell to Flora in that regional championship game. On Tuesday, the girls golf team, mentioned they finished third in the Mount Carmel Regional. They advanced to sectionals. The CWC volleyball team picked up a big 3-set win over Fairfield. That improved their record at that point to 21-1. They defeated Flora on Thursday in 2 sets, so 22-1 now on the year. They're 6-0 in the Black Diamond Conference, and a couple of big matches coming up for them this week. And looking ahead to this upcoming week and what's to come for CWC sports, mentioned boys and girls. They're at sectionals on Monday. Tennis will host Benton on Monday. JV football is at CZR. And the Lady Bulldog volleyball team, a big conference match with Edwards County at Albion on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Lady Bulldogs are back at home. They're going to host Hamilton County. That one will be streamed on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. On Wednesday, tennis will host Salem. Cross country will run at Harrisburg. Then on Thursday, volleyball travels to El Dorado. And then next Friday, the Bulldog football team travels to Edwards County. Next Friday will be a radio-only broadcast on 97.3 FM only. Limited press box space and no internet connection there in Edwards County, so we'll just do that one on a radio-only broadcast. But again, do want to extend best of luck to Coach Zerani and the Lady Bullpup softball team today as they travel to Centralia for the SIJHSAA state tournament. They take on Marion today at 1 o'clock. And, of course, good luck to Coach Howard and the Junior Pro Bulldogs as they take on Flora today at 4 o'clock in the BDC Championship. Chris, it was funny during the break. You opened up your Facebook and showed a picture of the last time the Bulldogs won the BDC crown. It was 5 years ago.
2019.
Picture of you and Cade and Noah with the tournament championship. That's awesome.
They looked a little bit different then. They were both just a little bit smaller then. So, yeah, this shows how old I am. But, yeah, it's great memories, and just watching them having a great senior year is just outstanding.
Pretty full circle for you.
It is.
Yeah.
And that was one of the last groups that would be the last group I got to coach.
Yep.
So, and now they're seniors. So
awesome. All right, so yeah, best of luck to all the athletic teams in action this weekend and next week. We will turn our attention to our terrible 10 pick'ems as 5 college games, 5 NFL games. Chris making a comeback. He had a rough first week, but 6-4 last week. I went 4-6. Overall standings, I'm 20-10, and Chris is 16-14. So if you pull off one of those 10-0 weeks like you had a couple of years ago, you'll be right back in it.
I'm going to have to do something. It's been brutal. Ugh.
All right, so 5 college football games going on today. Number 9, Missouri travels to take on number 25, Texas A&M. I believe this is the only ranked versus ranked matchup in the country today, but it's going to be a good one. It's a tough place to play. Missouri, a lot of high hopes coming into the season. Haven't really played anybody yet. They struggled against Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago. I want to pick Mizzou, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Aggies here at home. It's just a tough place to play.
I would agree. Just the fact the 12th man, that stadium, it's difficult for anybody to play there. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Aggies too.
Pitt, they are undefeated, looking to possibly get ranked as they travel to North Carolina, who got it put to them by JMU a couple of weeks ago. So North Carolina, they're kind of on an up and down trend, but Pitt, they are a 3-point favorite here. I will go with the Panthers on the road.
I will do the same thing. North Carolina as a program is kind of in a free fall this year.
Yeah. Boston College, they travel to Virginia. Virginia favored by a point. Boston College had a nice comeback win over Western Kentucky last week. I know their starting quarterback has been hurt. I'm not sure if he's playing today. I will go with BC here on the road.
Yeah, I will just go ahead and toe the line with the favorite by a point, Virginia.
Okay.
Those aren't two real juggernauts by any means, but I'll go with the home team on that one.
Number 12, Ole Miss travels to South Carolina. The Rebels are favored by 9. They lost at home against Kentucky last week, so they're looking for a big bounce back, and I think they will. Lane Kiffin's going to get his team fired up for a big bounce back win. Give me Ole Miss.
I would do the same thing, but the thing is that loss to Kentucky is deceptive. Keep in mind, Kentucky had a chance to beat Georgia.
Yep.
They lost to Georgia by a point, and had they gone, a lot of people think that had they gone for it on 4th and 1, kept the clock running, kicked the field goal, they might have beat Georgia. But, I will say Ole Miss bounces back and agree with you there.
Well, where it's interesting is South Carolina. They did defeat Kentucky in Lexington a couple of weeks ago. So that could go either way, but we're both going to go with Ole Miss here. West Virginia, they travel to take on Oklahoma State. Cowboys lost last week at home to Utah, I believe. So Oklahoma State favored by 3.5, and I will go with the Cowboys at home.
I will do the same. I'll take the Pokes at home.
On to the NFL. 5 NFL games tomorrow. The first of many London games this year for the NFL. The Jets take on the Minnesota Vikings. Really two surprises for opposite reasons. Minnesota has been a juggernaut with Sam Darnold this year, and the Jets have struggled with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Vikings are going to keep it rolling, give you Minnesota.
I do too. I'll go with you there, and just for the fact that they, beat the 49ers, so I got to go with the Vikings. But no, in all seriousness, they are the surprise team this year.
Yep. The Cleveland Browns travel to Washington to face another surprising team, the Commanders. Man, their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, has looked good. They're putting up some points, and they put up, 40 points the last 2 weeks, or 38 plus the last 2 weeks. I'm going to go Commanders here at home.
I'll do the same. You looked at that NFC East, and it just honestly, after week one, you thought, well, this is going to be the worst division in football again. But then the Commanders have been playing a lot better, and so I'll go ahead and agree with you and take the Commanders.
The Buffalo Bills travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Stephon Diggs going against his former team. I'll ask you first here, Chris. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going to go ahead and say the Texans hold serve at home. The Bills just got shellacked the other night by the Ravens. Of course, the Ravens can do that to a lot of teams. That might be deceptive, but the Texans are another team that's kind of on the rise, and they're playing at home. I'll give them a slight edge over the Bills.
Bills did have a rough game on Sunday against the Ravens, but the Texans really have not played great ball. They almost lost to Jacksonville, who has really struggled this year on Sunday. I think the Bills will go on the road and win this one. Josh Allen has played really well. He's an MVP frontrunner right now, I think, even though they struggled last week. But kind of surprise team there. Buffalo has been good this year. I'm going to take Buffalo. AFC North battle. I hope both teams lose. The Ravens at the Bengals. Who do you got here, Chris?
I'm going to go ahead and hold serve with the Ravens. The Bengals have kind of, it's kind of surprising to me how they struggled because, they got all the offensive pieces you could want. Joe Burrow's as good a quarterback as there is in the league to me. Got good receivers, but they just haven't been able to click for some reason. And the Ravens, when they're on a roll, when the Ravens just do what they do with Lamar Jackson on offense, they're tough for anybody to stop, and I just don't think the Bengals will be able to stop them offensively, so I'll take the Ravens.
I don't think I can ever bring myself to pick the Bengals on a terrible 10 pick'em, so I will go with the Ravens as well. Monday Night Football on Monday in Kansas City as the Chiefs host the New Orleans Saints. Man, Saints got off to a hot start, but back-to-back losses. Really hard to tell if they're good or not, but it's going to be a tough battle. I will go with the back-to-back defending champs at home for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see how you couldn't. The Saints just look like a different team, not in a good way, the last couple of weeks, and it's the Chiefs. It's hard to beat the Chiefs for anybody.
So me and Chris will either do really good this week or really bad with a lot of similar picks, and we'll see what our results are.
We agree
Saturday.
too much. We need to.
We think alike.
Yeah.
We think too much alike. But again, big thanks to Trey Mason for swinging by this morning and talking about the boys and girls golf teams, and best of luck to them on Monday as they travel to sectionals. Best of luck to junior high softball today and junior pro football, hoping to bring home some hardware. Exciting weekend for junior high sports, exciting time for high school sports and all of CWC sports in general as we're getting towards the end of the fall sports season. Just 3 regular season football games left. It's crazy how much it's flying by.
It does. It just goes so quick, and homecoming tonight for all the kids in high school. Like I said last night, such a great week, homecoming week. All the kids, whether involved or sports or not, get to be a part of, just the school spirit, the maroon and white all week, activities. The homecoming parade, so cool to watch. And all the kids just absolutely love being a part of it. So just been a great week. And, capping it off with the win last night against Christopher was great. And as you said, Cole, wish all the junior high athletes competing today just the best of luck. We're proud of all of you, and it's just been a fantastic week.
Well, thanks to Scott Mary across the hallway for getting us on the air. For Chris Myers, I'm Cole Carter. Thanks for listening to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Have a great weekend.